Welcome to One Man's Tracks, and today we're jumping into a secondhand CD pickup. This time it's a compilation album, the first one I've ever talked about here. I like to justify it thinking that the writer credit is all the same and it's all from a distinct time period of this band, just 1972 to 1973. Also, I never knew the band, and so it was a great introduction to me, and it's got me looking for one of the albums that is a part of this compilation album. So, all that said, it's a band that formed in Mississippi back in 1968, made up of Ray Sawyer, Dennis Locorriere, George Cummings, and Billy Francis. They headed up north to New Jersey where they'd tour around the area for a couple of years until they got their big break when producer Ron Halfkin took a liking to their music. Ron is responsible for connecting the band with Shel Silverstein, legendary American writer who at the time was working on a score for an upcoming Dustin Hoffman film, who is Harry Kellerman, and that film unfortunately flopped, but the impact of them working together with Shel and his writing just really clicking with their sound made for a connection that is understatable. You can't be understated. This is a compilation of their first three albums. This is written entirely by Shel through Columbia Records in 1976 when they changed their name just to Dr. Hook. They revisited Dr. Hook and the Medicine Show to slap out a greatest hits, their first of now 23 compilation albums. A 10-track mashup of narrative rock songs that are all such earworms. I can't really even pick a favorite. They have this gruff, emotive yet diverse Americana delivery that's surrounded by a rowdy mix of twangy guitars and bluesy percussion. It's got me dancing and singing along the whole way through. Sure, it's a bit raunchy and it can be a bit brutish, but their groove prevails and these songs retain their catchiness to this day. And of course, because it is a greatest hits album, it's bound to hook you in right away and have you rolling the whole way through. It starts out with their best-selling single ever, their first song off their 1972 self-titled debut. It's Sylvia's Mother. This song's about a man in a phone booth that's trying desperately to get his, I think, recently ex-girlfriend's mother to let him talk to his girlfriend on the phone. Sylvia's her name. It's got this great build and then this incredibly hooky pre-chorus that's just, I don't know, it's unique, it's special in a certain way. It's, and the operator says 40 cents more for the next 3 minutes. It's interesting to use that element in a song, and I just really love how they put it in here. And then it just erupts into the pleading chorus of, "Please, Mrs. Avery, I just want to talk to her. I'll only keep her for a while." Oh, just amazing song. It's no wonder it was as successful as it was. Then onto a track from their third album, Belly Up. This one's titled Acapulco Goldie, and it's another heartbreaker. It's lighter with a mariachi-style instrumental that brings the levity and some humor to it, but it's a song about falling in love with a girl, being tricked and lied to, and then having everything stolen from you by her and her running off. I like the instrumental, the levity, and if the song was any longer, it really would be probably the weakest cut on this record in my opinion, so props to them for cutting it off right in time before I get pretty tired of the thing. Now for a song off of their second album, Sloppy Seconds. This is actually the title track off of a Shel Silverstein album, Freakin' at the Freakers Ball. It's here to test how much depraved lyricism you can handle without blushing or even turning them off entirely. It's not trying to be anything that it isn't. It's really crude, and that's kind of the approach and the plan of the whole song, but as raunchy as it gets, it raises freak flags to illegal heights, and I don't think you could release a song like this nowadays. People would take it literally and think people are doing all the crazy stuff they describe in that track. Making it natural shifts those illicit themes towards illegal drugs, and with an unreliable narrator who's convincing his girlfriend that he wants to go natural. He fails in that process and they run out the back door in the end, but this is the second and last song that they include from their debut. I understand they wanted to keep it to 10 tracks, but I think it's a shame because I've listened to all the 3 albums that this pulls from, and I think they had almost enough material to make an entirely another greatest hits album just based on these first 3 without repeating any of the tracks. Great stuff. I recommend checking all 3 albums, and I've linked them, of course, down in the description. There's a few tracks that I really enjoyed that didn't make the cut on this one off of that debut. You've got Kiss It Away, you've got a Beatles-esque sort of Hey Lady Godiva, and a track that did make their 2003 Essentials album. I call that True Love. Back to Revisited, it's Penicillin Penny next. It's got my favorite instrumental of the bunch. So funky, the backup singers absolutely crush it. You could put pretty much any lyrics and I'd still dig this track. While I've mentioned their best-selling single, perhaps the song the band is best known for is Cover of the Rolling Stone. Of course, also written by Shel. He called him up one night and said, I know how to get you on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine, and made them write down the lyrics then and there. This tongue-in-cheek, pleading song to get them the greatest thrill they'd never known. Worked, sort of. They got a caricature version of themselves put on the cover right here, ba-bam, and they don't even mention the band by name, but bam, Dr. Hook, cover of the Rolling Stone. Continuing on with some more tracks from their Sloppy Seconds release, you've got Get My Rocks Off, another funkier piece with some deeper vocals from Ray. Then on to Carry Me Carry, a beautiful gospel-flavored rock piece that does really great job at showcasing Dennis's singing chops. Then the last song off that album, and the longest song on this one, it's Queen of the Silver Dollar. It's a tragic tale told with triumph, and it marches in right before the closing number, Roland the Rowdy and Gertrude the Groupie. With one last grabby refrain, this song has me stuck with a ton of great Shel Silverstein hooks in my brain, and it had me seeking out some more tracks to try to dislodge them somehow, but now I'm just filled up. I fought fire with fire like an idiot, and now I'm desperately seeking a copy of Sloppy Seconds, hopefully with the bonus track Looking for Pussy, because damn, it's so funky. That, along with the softer Stayin' song and the Things I Didn't Say, are pretty much the rest of that whole album if you include the 5 tracks that made this one. The songs I enjoyed off of Belly Up, their 3rd album, are the short, quick little cuts like Monterey Jack and Come On In, as well as You've Got the Right and the closer, The Wonderful Soupstone. Around the time that this album came out, founding member George Cummings was getting pretty sick because of the intense touring schedule they are on, doing something close to 300 shows a year. He was forced to leave the band due to health issues, and fortunately for the band, they'd already added another guitarist, and they'd put in a real bassist for their 2nd album, Sloppy Seconds. You had Rick Icefit, another guitarist, and bassist Jance Garfat, who remained part of the band until they broke up in 1985. The band recorded 9 more albums between the years 75 and 83. After their 85 final send-off tour, Dennis Locorriere took over the name and toured as the voice of Dr. Hook. I believe he still does to this day. Ray Sawyer took on the name Ray Sawyer of Dr. Hook, or Dr. Hook featuring Ray Sawyer, and toured until 2015 when he retired. In 2018 he passed away at the age of 81. I consider myself lucky in the fact that I did grab the other Dr. Hook album I saw when grabbing this. It's there in 1978, Pleasure and Pain, and unfortunately it doesn't quite get me going as much as this does. It's slightly more disco-influenced rock, a little poppier, a little more ballady. This early Shel Silverstein stuff is my cup of tea, but if there is an album of those other 8 that I haven't mentioned that I really should check out, please leave me a comment down below. Maybe your favorite album, your favorite Dr. Hook track, and while you're still here, please like the video and consider subscribing to check out my other fantastic treasures and rad pickups that I find along the way. I'm sure to have a video that you'll enjoy, an album that you'll get a kick out of, something to get your rocks off. Thanks so much for being here, and I'll see you when I'm smiling on the cover of the Rolling Stone. Does anyone actually buy magazines anymore? I'm sure this still exists, but